Hello and welcome to another day of English 2. I'm your online teacher, Miss Bear. We have been looking at an Engage New York module and units that look at or explore how authors present ideas and details to develop and refine their claims. Today we are going to be looking at how some ideas refine other ideas. So that idea about refining happens across the board many different ways. Sometimes it's evidence that refines an idea. Sometimes it's additional ideas refining the ideas that originated. So it's really an interesting kind of concept to watch, and you're going to get to explore that today through the text. So let's look at your end of the unit task. When we finish Unit 8, where we are right now, you will rely on your analysis and reading from A Genetics of Justice to write a well-developed response to the prompt. How does the sentence, "No flies fly into a closed mouth," from paragraph 21, develop and refine one of Alvarez's ideas in A Genetics of Justice? And we have been working through this text looking at different ideas that Alvarez has so that you get to choose which of those ideas works best for you in this analysis. So let's look at our agenda for the day. We are going to be accountable for our homework. We will do another masterful reading. We will do some reading and discussion. You'll also have an opportunity to have some small group discussion. We'll do a quick write, and then we will close with a little homework. You can see on your board that SL.9-10.1 is a speaking and listening standard. So you know that in that small group discussion, it's really important that you do speak well and listen well. So let's look at your homework from last night. You had several things that you were to do. One of them was to read for the central idea. You were to do that vocabulary, and also you were to conduct a brief search into the Mirabel sisters. So right now I want you with a partner to discuss your annotations as well as your research about the sisters. Great job. Let's talk really quickly about the Mirabel sisters, and then we'll look at some central ideas. So here are the things that I came up with, and I want to see if they match some of the ideas that you came up with. You might want to refine some of or revise your homework from last night so that you have additional information about the Mirabel sisters. They were sisters Petria, Didi, Minerva, and Maria Teresa Mirabel. There were 4 of them. They were political descendants who became involved in the movement against Trujillo. The underground resistance movement that the Mirabel sisters formed was called the Movement of the 14th of June after a massacre that Petria witnessed while on a religious retreat. The movement of the 14th of June distributed pamphlets about Trujillo's crimes and obtained materials to make guns and bombs for an armed revolt. The Mirabel sisters named themselves Las Mariposas, or the Butterflies, after Minerva's underground name. Trujillo had Minerva and Maria Teresa imprisoned and tortured on several occasions. On November the 25th of 1960, the girls and their driver were stopped by Trujillo's men and beaten to death. Their death was made to look like a car accident. Didi created a museum in honor of her sisters called the Museo Hermanas Mirabel. Didi died February of 2014. In 1994, Julia Alvarez published a novel called In the Time of the Butterflies about the sisters. So you see that information, that was the masterful response. If you did not have those ideas, make sure that you have them or you've revised your responses so that you have all of those ideas. Now I want us to talk about the 2 central ideas that were found in paragraphs 20 through 22, and then also I want you to discuss as a class if you had any additional central ideas that you could throw out and add to this list. So I'd like a volunteer to come up and discuss the 2 that we have and also any that you guys came up with on your own. Great job. Now we are going to move into our masterful reading of paragraphs 20 through 22. Fantastic job, great job annotating. I didn't even have to remind you to annotate this time. So I'm really proud of you that you continued with that. So now we're going to move into either a small group or a partner, and I want you to answer the questions about paragraphs 20 through 22. Answer the questions that are on your screen. Great job. Now I would like a volunteer to come up and lead the first the first question, lead that discussion as a whole class. Great job. Can I get a different volunteer for the next two questions? I need another volunteer for the next two questions. And we have 3 more questions to finish this set out, so I'd like another volunteer to come up and lead the discussion of those 3 questions that are on your board. Great job. Now work back with that original partner or group that you were with, and I would like for you to record the Central Ideas Tracking Tool for paragraphs 20 through 22. Now it is time for our small group discussion. So what I would like for you to do, there is in the packet of materials that your teacher had access to, there is a discussion tool that has the ideas, introduction, and some development things kind of going on. So I want you with a small group of 3 people to analyze how Alvarez develops her description of her mother in relation to Trujillo in paragraphs 1 through 22. So use that discussion tool, identify ideas that are common in paragraphs 3 through 7 and paragraphs 20 through 22. Support your responses with evidence from the text. Great job. Now remember, when we move into our quick write, which we're about to do, that you can use any of these tools in any of these discussions, any of the information that you have put in your binder. Use any and all of that information as you write your quick writes. So let's move into that now. I want you to look at paragraph 22 again, and I want you to answer the question, how does Alvarez further develop ideas that she introduces in paragraphs 3 through 7. Go back to all of your tools to find your evidence. Fantastic job. Now it is time for us to move into our homework for the evening. So I want you to reread paragraphs 1 through 22 and write a paragraph in response to the prompt. Analyze how Alvarez develops her description of her mother in relation to Trujillo in paragraphs 1 through 22. That is all that I have for you today. Until next time, happy learning.